MicroStrategy, which is currently sitting on over $5 billion in Bitcoin. Stock seems to be mirroring some of the moves in the popular cryptocurrency. So what is MicroStrategy's long-term crypto plan? Joining us now, Michael Saylor, founder and CEO of MicroStrategy. When I think of Bitcoin enthusiasts and mega believers, Michael, I think of you. Does your faith ever get shaken, especially during these very volatile periods where Bitcoin has had a steep sell-off?
No, in my entire career, I've never seen anything as compelling and unstoppable as Bitcoin. I'm extraordinarily enthusiastic. There are 8 billion people on the planet that need digital property, and Bitcoin is the dominant digital property network. So if you zoom out and you ask the question, how are you going to provide economic prosperity to billions of people at the speed of light over a computer network? There's no better idea than Bitcoin.
We'll dive into that in a moment, but clearly you've put your money where your mouth is. You've issued debt to put Bitcoin on the balance sheet of the company. You know, sometimes I almost forget that it's a company. It's a software company that does what? Data intelligence? Does that become harder as a core business when you are in these periods where Bitcoin is not going up and when you're seeing big losses there on the balance sheet?
MicroStrategy stock's up by a factor of 4. Our customers are delighted. Our shareholders have made billions of dollars. Our employees are all shareholders in the company. Our attrition rate's at an all-time low. It's actually great for our brand and great for our customers and great for the enterprise. No complaints at all.
So is the long-term strategy just to keep this business as is and continue to add Bitcoin?
Look, our long-term strategy is kind of like Harvard University. We're running a university, but we have an endowment. MicroStrategy is selling enterprise software. We generate $100 million in cash flow a year in a good year. And we're reinvesting that cash in our endowment. Our endowment is 100% Bitcoin. So the balance sheet strategy is acquire and hold Bitcoin. The operating strategy is sell enterprise software everywhere else in the world.
So you mentioned your vision and why you're so bullish on Bitcoin. We just heard from Sam Bankman-Fried, who is welcoming regulation, starting, hopefully, he says, out of the U.S. this year. Is that your feeling, or do you worry that regulators could ultimately regulate it out of existence? China, for instance, banning Bitcoin mining.
No, I think actually regulation and clarity is going to be great for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is universally acknowledged as digital property. It's common property. All the question marks are around currencies and securities and platforms and exchanges. One thing that's clear is everybody on Earth wants to own property. And if you live in Africa or South America or Asia, what property would you rather own than Bitcoin? So, you know, the regulatory clarity is going to accelerate institutional adoption of Bitcoin, and you're going to see large flows of capital into the asset class as this continues.
But here's the difference with Bitcoin and property, Michael. Property, you can value it. You can see the location and the neighbors and what it's worth. How do you know, how can one determine what Bitcoin is worth? There's no balance sheet, and it really hasn't been a long-term proven asset.
If you lived in Zimbabwe, what piece of property would you rather own than Bitcoin? If you lived in Argentina and there's an 80% inflation rate, what piece of property would you rather own than Bitcoin?
Well, maybe the U.S. dollar.
Actually not. The U.S. dollar is losing 20% of its value a year, and Bitcoin's going up in value every year. So the real important thing to note about Bitcoin is that Bitcoin is a global monetary asset, which means everybody on Earth is going to have a need for that property. And it's a scarce, desirable asset. Currencies are designed to lose value. And, you know, the dollar is the strongest currency. But if you look at the lira, or take the Argentine peso, the blue dollar rate hit 209 today. It was 15 about 4 years ago. So you can't save your money in a currency. You have to actually invest in a property. And for 3/4 of the world, they can't buy the S&P index. So it's not an academic question of whether or not you buy stocks or you buy Bitcoin. You can't buy, you know, stocks when you live in the middle of Africa or Egypt or Turkey or Lebanon. So really, you need property.
I get it. I get what you're saying about the developing world. Finally, and very quickly, Michael, what do you tell people out there who are now, and this chorus is growing a little bit louder, saying Bitcoin's a bubble, the liquidity from the Fed, that big tide is coming in, and it is proving to be just a speculative investment, and it's popping? Yeah,
people are skeptical of Amazon and Google and Facebook, but But, you know, the next digital transformation is the digital transformation of property, money, and energy. And Bitcoin represents that transformation. So 8 billion people are going to want to move money at the speed of light on a mobile phone. What I would tell them is Bitcoin is the asset. Bitcoin is the network to move money at the speed of light. There is no other open, permissionless protocol to do it. So technology is on our side. This is the future of the internet.
Michael Saylor, it's good to have you on the show. It wouldn't be Crypto Night in America without you.
But one company is continuing its push to bring the crypto to countries around the world. Joining us now is Strike CEO Jack Mallers, the company announcing its expansion into Argentina today. Jack, it's great to have you back. This is a big deal, but do you think the government will be as receptive as El Salvador's was?
Yo, Kelly, Happy New Year. Let's change the world. No, I don't. Listen, Kelly, I'm not a government consultant. I'm here to change the world, push our species in a direction that I think will make the world a better place. And the El Salvadoran government aligned with the vision and thought Bitcoin was a useful tool for their citizens. The Argentine government, that's not my job. I'm just impressed with my team, impressed with Bitcoin and the tool set that we've been allowed for with what Satoshi created and making the world a better place. We're giving the people of Argentina a monetary asset, a monetary policy, a monetary network that they can rely on and make free instant cross-border payments that subscribe to an asset and a store of wealth that is external of any government or central party intervention that's really pained them over the last 100 years.
Well, and Argentina obviously has had such a tough time with inflation. I know when I visited there about a decade ago, they basically said just use your U.S. dollars because, you know, that's a better way to do business around here. Don't even bother changing it into pesos and back. So I see the use case. In El Salvador's case, it's not like you partnered with the government to go in there. You launched the app. It got really successful, and then they wanted to look into that. So I'm just going to be curious to see if you're successful in Argentina, if you're met with sort of similar should we say, tacit approval by the authorities there, or if they would have any reason to say, you know what, we don't want our citizens doing business this way.
Yeah, so Kelly here, this is what I think is interesting is that you're exactly right. The inflation that has plagued Argentina, their unit of account is US dollars and demand for dollars is through the roof. In the parallel black market, a dollar is worth twice as much as it is according to the official rate. So they are looking to store their wealth in something else. Many of them use Bitcoin, but even that is too volatile for them. However, their ability to make payments, Kelly, this is a cash economy. People buy houses with cash. They're not even allowed to use payment networks that are denominated in dollars. The Visa network that operates on US dollars does not work in Argentina. It is banned. And so for Strike, what's really interesting for us is offering them a convenient cash collateral. They like their daily spending cash collateral to be in dollars, but interfacing that cash collateral over the Bitcoin and Lightning network, making it seamless to make instant free cross-border payments. And so to the individual, if you want to hold as much Bitcoin or as little Bitcoin as you want, that is up to you. What we allow you to do is hold a dollar-like cash collateral, but then use the Bitcoin network under the hood to escrow the value to make for digital seamless payments and excuse them of this really monstrous cash-based economy.
They're telling me I have about 2 minutes, Jack, and I have about 10 minutes worth of questions. So let me just try to get through this quickly. Is Venezuela next for you?
Everywhere is next for us. The novel thing about Bitcoin is it takes the property that makes internet companies valuable and important is that they have a target audience of all 8 billion people. It is an open, global, singular network. The good thing about Strike is that we get to sell them money, not advertising. We're delivering one of the most viral products in human history, and that's money. It's akin to like water to live a high quality of life. And so the combination of that, we get to try and sell money to all 8 billion people, a better financial and superior financial experience. So I'm on a mission to deliver this to everyone that has a pulse on this planet.
Let me bring this back to those in the U.S. who are wondering about the value of their crypto, Jack. Not that Strike is here to make a prediction on Bitcoin, but it is Bitcoin network is inherent to the product. So where do you think the price of Bitcoin is going from here, and how much does it matter?
Up is where I think it's going. Listen, Kelly, when the monetary policy, the supply, the issuance of the asset is known, the only missing variable is demand. and people are in high demand. The Federal Reserve has perverted risk tolerance across all assets, and the savings account has been robbed of the everyday person. They have to store their value in something else. Housing is not going to have every 4 years. There's not a fixed supply on any precious metal, any security, any equity. Bitcoin is the premier asset, is designed and engineered by us human beings to resolve of this exact problem of preserving and storing and saving wealth. And so I think it's up. It's going to appreciate against any denomination it's paired against.
Is it, though, Jack, a different environment? All of the arguments that you're making, now we have a Fed that's out there talking about, tightening policy quite considerably.
Listen, I mean, Kelly, it's an insurance policy. The Fed and our government said a lot of things that were lies. What do you want to do? You want to start trusting them now? No chance. And it's really quite ridiculous. The Federal Reserve has perverted risk tolerance across all assets. No one knows the cost of anything, and it's really jeopardized the middle and lower class in particular. And now you have venture capitalists raising billions of dollars and advocating that people store their savings and their kids' college tuition in cartoon drawings of deranged apes called NFTs. It's an absolute madhouse. It's disgusting. And Bitcoin is the signal. Bitcoin is the peace. Bitcoin is the future. It's the only monetary policy that's defended within a truly distributed network that we can rely on. The rest is noise. And whether they're lying now, telling the truth tomorrow, lying next month, it doesn't matter to me because I've subscribed myself to a monetary policy that I can trust and I know won't change.
You've been mentioned, Jack, several times, and I love your passion. Bitcoin is a store of value, but recent performance would say that that value has not been stored very well. It's down 20-some% in the last 3 months, more than that if you look back to the highs.
Yeah, I mean, what, is Amazon also a bad store of value when it drops a little bit? I mean, look at the historical performance of the asset. No one should be looking at Bitcoin to perform for a better day tomorrow or for a better week next week. It is a savings vehicle as an asset class. It is a place that you can preserve and store wealth across generations and across time and across space, period. And there's no asset that's better performed. Listen, for something to go from being invented 10 years ago, 13 years ago, to being where it is today, that implies volatility, traditionally to the upside. But I mean, human beings, back markets, human beings are emotional. Bitcoin is, right, as far as monetary property and characteristics of a system, the most sound financial tool we've ever seen in our species as human beings.
All right. What a good place to end it. Jack Mallers, thanks very much.